So I know what you're probably thinking. And yes, you are correct. I did get a haircut. Thank you for noticing. But no, I did also move again. You know, I just can't get enough of moving. I just thought I'd just give a little precursor as, you know, once again, I'm in a new setting. Basically in August of last year, I moved from the Gold Coast to Melbourne. It was in the middle of lockdown, so it's pretty tough, but I'm here now. I'm not gonna get too much further into the whys of the hows and the move. I think it's been good for me, and I've been much happier here, so hopefully that can carry on going forward. So that's enough on that. Let's just get into today's video. In today's video, I want to be able to share with you guys some of the things that I have been wearing through 2021 going into 2022. So it has been quite a long time since I filmed one of these. Obviously, I haven't been quite as active on the channel as I probably would have liked to have been as of late. So when I was planning for this video, I made a little list of everything I want to show you guys. And then I realized that, you know, it's actually quite a lot of pieces. And so instead of making like a single hour-long video, I've decided to break it down. In today's video, we're going to look at arguably where all outfits start, and that's going to be focusing on shoes and footwear. And then in a separate video, we're then going to have a look at clothing and accessories. So with that, I think we should just jump in and get straight to the first pair of footwear that I want to show you. So I decided that we might as well start off with probably what is my most worn shoe of 2021. And that is going to be probably a little surprising to some people, but it is the Blundstone 063 Chelsea boots. So the crazy thing is that I've probably owned this pair of boots for almost over 5 years now. I remember that I bought them originally when I was at college because I needed a more formal shoe for formal events. I've kind of worn them on and off again, but I've never really like kind of incorporated them more full-time into my footwear rotation. So these boots kind of really re-established themselves in my wardrobe when I started working full-time. Basically, I needed a shoe that I could wear in the office. So I decided to whip these out and they've just really grown on me since then. Also, since moving down here to Melbourne, where it's a little colder and a little wetter during the winter months, these shoes have been really great. I feel like a boot is almost a staple when you're living here. And so I started wearing them to work, and then they eventually slipped into my kind of everyday rotation. So I'd go out in the evenings in them. And then they were just so easy to put on and so good to style that I was just wearing them at every chance that I had. In my opinion, I feel like boot silhouettes have kind of taken off in a crazy direction over the past 12 months. I mean, you really just have to look at things that Bottega Veneta and Balenciaga are releasing. I don't mind some of those things, but I do feel like those shapes and those silhouettes will eventually fall off. Whereas compared to just a classic all black leather Chelsea boot, I feel like a boot of this style can always find its way into anyone's footwear rotation. So as for price, these boots retail for 215 Australian dollars, which I think is pretty good in terms of black leather Chelsea boots. I know you can get obviously way more expensive boots of a similar style, such as R.M. Williams, which probably cost around, you know, like $400 to $700. And then obviously you can go much cheaper, and you can always look on ASOS and get a similar style boot for around $60 to $100. But I think $215 is very good for the quality and the life you get out of a pair of boots like this. They've definitely passed the durability test on my standard, and I also like how readily available they are. They're not that hard to find. So if you want to get a new pair or you want to replace an old pair, then it's not going to be a problem. Now, my only gripe with this pair of boots is that I have ended up cracking both the soles in my pair, and that's kind of understandable considering how much wear they've gotten over the past 12 months and how old they are. But it is kind of frustrating with these mid-range boots that the soles are actually glued on rather than being stitched in. And so I can't actually replace the sole. I'm gonna have to get a whole new pair of boots. And that's a little frustrating because the rest of the boot really isn't in too bad a condition. I'll probably still try and get a little bit more wear out of these. It's summer here in Australia at the moment, so I'm not gonna be stepping in too many puddles. But yeah, when winter rolls around, I'm probably gonna have to pick up a new pair. So let's move on to the second pair of shoes. So the second pair of shoes I want to be able to share with you guys is my pair of Rick Owens Ramones in kind of the milk or chalk colorway. I'm not sure which one it is, but they're white. And I really, really love this shoe. So I bought these through the lows of the COVID lockdown, and it was like a little bit of a birthday gift to myself as well to help justify it, but I've never really spent this amount on a pair of shoes. So what drew me to these is I just really loved the tall and the chunky silhouette. I also just really loved the color of the leather. I just thought it was beautiful, and just how the laces also match that. I probably don't go as much on the rest of Rick's aesthetic. I don't mind the black pair, but these were definitely my favorite. And I definitely had seen them quite a lot on the timeline before I bought them. So that definitely also had its influence. But now having them in hand, I can just see the build quality and I can see how like beautiful they are, and that can at least justify the cost a little bit more. So I got these in a size Euro 46, and I'm a true to size US 12, so I'm pretty sure they just line up. I don't think there was too much size up or size down. The one thing I will say about them is that they did take ages for me to break in. I had to keep on wearing super thick socks and put strapping tape in the back of my feet to stop them from blistering my feet. But now they are broken in, I can say that they are super duper comfy. So as for price, I'm just gonna whisper it to you just because it is a little bit outlandish, but it was $1,200. But these shoes were $1,200, and I still can't believe I must have really been feeling it during COVID, that's for sure. But anyways, they were $1,200. So yeah, these were a little pricey. This is definitely the most I've ever spent on a single pair of shoes, but they are really beautiful and the build quality is amazing. And I do hope to be able to get wear out of these over the entirety of the next decade. I guess we'll have to wait and see, but yeah, super beautiful shoe that I don't plan on probably ever getting rid of from my collection. On to the next pair. So in the theme of shoes that were difficult to break in, the next pair of shoes is my most recent pickup, and that is going to be this pair of 1461 Beck's Doc Marten Derbies. Basically, I picked these up because I wanted a pair of chunky sole Prada Derbies, except for I didn't want to pay that chunky Prada price tag, and so I ended up going with these guys. Now, I have really owned these for probably just over a week, and I've only gotten a couple of wears out of them so far, just because every time I've worn them so far, they have just cut the absolute shit out of my feet. Like, I'm not sure if this back thing is like made out of razor blades, I don't know, but it just cuts into my feet so bad. I remember the first time I wore them, I walked about 500 meters just to go down to the store to pick up some stuff for dinner, and they had already cut my feet to pieces, and so that wasn't super pleasant. So we're gonna have to be a little bit more careful when breaking these guys in. But on the flip side, they do make me another total inch taller, because this is the Beck's model. It is like a chunky sole, and so as someone who's already 6'5", I now get to be 6'6" when wearing these shoes. But overall, I think that they're a super sweet silhouette, and I do really look forward to styling them more, particularly when winter rolls around. So I got these in a UK 11, which is a US 12, so they fit me true to size, and they fit good apart from like cutting the shit out of my feet every time I've worn them so far. And I just got them at the Doc Marten store down in Swanson Street. I think if you're looking for a pair for yourself, if you have a bigger size foot, say US 10 and above, you'll probably have a decent chance of finding a pair. As when I walked in and asked if they had any of these, the guy was unsure because he said supposedly girls on TikTok bought out every size under a US 10, so we had to check if there was any left. So fortunately, if you have a big foot, you probably won't have any issues in finding a pair, but if you have a small foot, then you might be out of luck. So now moving on to more traditional pairs of sneakers. I've got a couple of pairs of New Balances I want to show you. The first one being a pair of 990 V5s in just the traditional kind of heather grey colour, and then the second one being a New Balance 550 in kind of like a maroon wine colourway. I feel like New Balance have kind of really been having a bit of a moment recently, particularly over the past 12, 24 months. I believe people are kind of becoming a little tired of the same old releases from Nike and Adidas, and they're starting to branch out a little bit more and look at brands such as New Balance, Asics, Reebok, and Solomon. With that being said, I do think New Balance in particular have been recently killing it with their collaborations and their just general releases, and I think that's definitely helped them gain more popularity in the sneaker zeitgeist. So we're just gonna have a look at the 990 first, a little bit closer. I'm sure you guys have seen these a lot on the timeline recently. They have become quite popular. My favorite thing about this shoe is its versatility. I just feel like you can kind of dress it up to be a little bit more sporty and athletic, or with the right outfit, you can also even wear it as a little more semi-formal, which is, I think, pretty unique for this kind of sneaker. I also do think that they're just super comfy, so I can't fault them on that. I got mine in a size US 12, so they fit true to size, and I think these cost me around 280 Australian dollars. I also did change the laces on my pair to be like a flat cream lace compared to the white regular laces they come with. That was just personal preference, and I think it looks pretty cool. So now moving on to the 550. These are just a general release colorway. It is quite a nice color, I will admit. It's kind of like a wine burgundy type of color, but they aren't the coveted, Aimé Leon Dore collaboration pair, as we've all seen on our timelines, just dominating as of late. As everyone else did, I tried to get the ALD pair and I also missed out. And so when I saw that these were releasing in Australia, I just decided to pick up a pair immediately. And you know, I was a little disappointed, honestly. Like when these arrived, I put them on feet, I just didn't like feel them as much. Like they just didn't suit. I'm not sure what's wrong with them. They're like pretty chunky, I guess. I don't know. I just didn't like how they sat on my feet compared to like other low top sneaker options such as like a Reebok Club C, which we'll get to in a minute. But yeah, I just haven't really liked them as much. So they probably really haven't got as much wear as I would have hoped when I picked them up. I mean, there's really not that much else to say about these. I mean, I got these in a size 12, which was my true size, and they fit me fine. I think they cost me about 180 Australian dollars, which is about $100 cheaper than the 990. So they are more affordable, which is, I guess, a good thing. But yeah, I was kind of left a little disappointed when I picked these up, but I'm still, you know, trying things out with them, and particularly when it's summer now, I have actually got a little bit more wear out of them, but yeah, haven't been my favorite sneaker over the year. So now we're going to move on to the sneaker, which I think is probably the reason why I don't like the New Balance 550, and it is the Reebok Club C. I just love this shoe way more than the 550. I'm not sure if it's just because it's a little more slender, the color's a little more neutral, I'm not sure, but I've just gotten way more wear out of these than I have the 550, and I think that's why I haven't been wearing the 550 as much, because I have been wearing these. It's probably definitely my most worn sneaker throughout the year. They're just so easy to throw on with anything. I think everyone knows what these are. I'm not going to go too far into depth about them. I don't think they need to be over-explained. It's a Reebok Club C. I'm sure everyone's seen them on the timeline. I do think that they are being a little overdone now. I know Jown did that collaboration, and then now every brand wants to release you know, an all-white Club C as a collaboration. And I think it's being a little bit overdone, just because like, I think Owens should stick to furniture. I don't think they need to release a fucking Reebok, but I guess that is what it is. Regardless, still a super nice shoe. So the thing that initially drew me to this pair of shoes is that they were relatively cheap, and they were also so widely available. Like they were on like the shelf of every sneaker store in Australia, and I just like that fact because they look nice and you can kind of wear them out. You can, you know, do a whole bunch of stuff and just beat them to death, and then pick up a new pair once they kind of reach the end of their life. I actually ended up playing tennis. In this specific pair over the holiday period, and I went online to see if I could find a fresh pair, just because I know that these are on their last legs. And I was actually kind of sad to see that finding a new pair in this kind of chalky white colorway and chalky white and green colorway was actually pretty difficult in a US 12, and that's, you know, a little upsetting considering I think it's probably Reebok's most popular shoe of the past 12 to 24 months. And I understand that like, you know, the bloody supply chain issues are getting in the way, but I do hope that Reebok are able to, you know, kind of reinstate this sneaker as kind of like an everyday available pair. But until then, I guess I'll be continuing to wear this pair. So the final sneaker that I want to show you guys is my Jordan 1 in the metallic red colorway. Now I picked these up quite a long time ago, and I guess I never got around to showing you guys. I actually bought these when I was looking for the Chicagos, as I made that previous video about. I got these secondhand, and they've been super nice since buying them. They are 11.5, so they are a little bit tight, but otherwise they're not too bad. And what's surprising is probably through 2021 and going into 2022, these are the only Nikes which aren't my gym shoes that I have worn, which is pretty surprising considering the number of Nikes that I do actually own. So this is just a classic colorway of a classic silhouette. I mean, there's really not much else to say apart from I did change the laces, so I kind of has like this washed red third-party laces on them, which I think is pretty cool. But yeah, they're just, you know, it's just a pair of Jordan 1s. There's nothing really much else to say. I still do have quite a lot of Nikes just sitting in their boxes, but I just think I've been feeling sneakers as a style of footwear very much in general. I've kind of been leaning more towards, you know, mules and boots and loafers and those types of footwear. So I really haven't gotten much wear out of all the Nikes that I own. I also personally don't think Nike have released anything that has been that good for quite a while. I feel like anything that is kind of good that Nike releases immediately becomes, you know, overinflated both, you know, financially and culturally. And so they become completely unaffordable and completely unattainable. And they just become like this sign of privilege that, you know, you were able to buy a pair, whether you paid a ridiculous amount on resale or you knew somebody who was able to gift them to you. Like, and I think that just makes them lame at the end of the day. I also do think Nike has kind of been a little bit lazy recently with their silhouettes. They just keep on releasing new colorways of the same silhouettes, which is pretty uninspiring. But yeah, I'm not going to go any further into that. This is just a pair of metallic red Jordan 1s that I've been wearing, and they are still in my footwear rotation. So there's not much more to say apart from that. So I have two more pairs I want to show you, and I guess now we're moving into the category which you classify as mules. So the first pair I want to show you is going to be the Birkenstock Bostons, the classic in the taupe colorway. I don't know if you can actually get the taupe colorway anymore. I went to a Birkenstock store recently. I think all the colorways have changed, but this is just the classic one in taupe. So I've never been a huge fan of regular Birkenstocks. I know the Arizona model is super popular. I don't know, it just never appealed to me. I think it's because I have a thing with toes. Like, I don't want to see anyone else's toes, and I don't want anyone seeing my toes. And so that's why I guess the Birkenstock Boston appealed to me, as it's kind of more of like a shoe than a sandal. And yeah, I don't know, I've definitely got my value out of this pair of mules. I probably wear them almost every day, whether it's just to run an errand or just go to the mailbox. They're on my feet at some point of the day. And they're super comfortable, and I really can't fault their build quality or anything. So if you're looking for a new pair of Birkenstocks which isn't the ones that everyone else is wearing, definitely check out the Bostons. I do think they're quite a nice, you know, combination of kind of shoe and sandal. So yeah, super nice shoe. So with that, this leads me to the final pair of shoes that I want to share with you guys. They are also a mule, and they are also a Birkenstock, and they are the Birkenstock Super Birkies in this kind of like off-white, creamy kind of colorway. So I got these about a month ago. I picked these up from the Birkenstock store out near Edinburgh Gardens in Melbourne, and I have been pleasantly surprised with how much I've enjoyed styling this pair of mules. Now, I picked these up because I've kind of started to see a bit of a new trend developing, and that is kind of like single piece rubber or polyurethane shoes. And it's kind of a bit specific, but you know, let me explain. I think you guys have seen Bottega Veneta's puddle boots and the puddle sandals, I guess you'd call them. There's Jill Sanders' Birkenstock collaboration, which is, you know, kind of gives off a similar vibe. And there's Kanye in his croc boots. I think Prada made like a rubber no-show sock, and that's a shoe that they made. And I know that some of you guys out here are heavy breathing over Balenciaga's latest boots. Now, the problem with all of those shoes that I just mentioned is they are all far too expensive. You know, I'm not paying, you know, $800 for a pair of bloody Birkenstocks, and I'm also not paying like $1,600 for a pair of boots because I just spent my money on Rick Owens over here, you know. So I had to go and find myself a cheaper alternative, and so I ended up settling with the Birkenstock Super Birkie. These are actually super great because I actually got these for 80 Australian dollars, which is, you know, less than a tenth of some of the other shoes that I just mentioned. And they kind of give off that similar style and that similar vibe of, you know, a single piece polyurethane shoe, because that's technically what they are. Personally, I've really liked owning these since I picked them up. I've enjoyed the kind of bit of a style challenge, and I think the aesthetic is really cool. I enjoy the chunkiness of them, and they have quite a nice bite to the outsole. I've actually had quite a few people, you know, give me compliments on them because I guess they don't see them being worn as casual shoes very much every day. So that's also been nice. In terms of comfort and sizing, I would definitely say that the Bostons are probably more comfortable than the Super Birkie. If I had to walk around all day in one of them, I would definitely pick the Bostons. But I guess like if you want something that's a little more durable and a little more protection, then the Super Birkie probably has you covered there. In terms of sizing, the Super Birkie I have in a 46, and the Bostons I have in a Euro 45. So I did size up on the Super Birkies, but I think I would recommend for both Birkenstocks just going into a store and trying them on, as it can be, you know, a little bit different from person to person. So the Super Birkie being the last pair of shoes I want to share with you guys, that wraps up today's video and all the shoes I'll be going into 2022 wearing. So for me, going through into 2022, I do hope to find a bit more stability compared to what I've had over the past couple of years. The last couple of years have been pretty rough, to say the least, and I'm not going to get too far into the personal stuff now, but I'm much happier where I am now, and so I do hope to be able to show up on the channel a lot more frequently and create a lot more content throughout the year. So thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate your support. If you want to let me know what shoes are going to be in your rotation going into 2022, feel free to leave me a comment below. Also, if you want to check out some of the behind the scenes of my life, or just see some pretty pictures, or even send me a bloody DM, check me out on Instagram, which is just at JoshuaRDMedia. And yeah, in the next video, we're going to cover clothing and accessories. So I'll see you then. Thanks, guys.